Supercritical mass is an ongoing participatory project with sound at its core. In fact, we think about it having several components, a sonic element, a spatial element and a social element. And effectively we create these ambient works with the one type of sound, activating and articulating different locations, generally public spaces.
At its heart, supercritical mass takes a single sound source and a single way of articulating that sound and expands it across a space with lots of people.
It has social dynamics as its structuring element and a great attenuation to how different spaces operate.
We're really interested in the way that reducing the ambient sound field of a space to a single tone or a single sound world can at first confuse and then really seduce the ambient listening aspect of human experience. So supercritical mass puts you inside of a dispersed ambient mass in a public space, indoors or outdoors, and by having one kind of sound source, be it all flutes or all planks of wood, all bells, as in the case with the APT, we are putting you in a position where the directionality and the proximity of yourself to sounds around you becomes heightened. And once that happens, in fact, your listening is no longer just about listening to the sounds that the supercritical mass of people introduce, but that blends with the existing noise floor of an environment. And then you actually start to see how those sounds are a function of the social interactions that already exist in a space and the new ones we bring to it.
Our work for the Asia-Pacific Triennial here at QAGOMA is called Open Plans, which actually encompasses several different components. Multi-channel video, an installation of 200 handbells, graphic scores and instructions across windows looking over the city, and ongoing performative elements in the form of workshops open to the public and opening and closing performances at the start and end of APT8. Each element has a different title and a different function, but they all try to articulate what it means to be in this specific environment, what it means to travel through and to connect or otherwise with other people in the space, using this one single common tone of the rung bell through the building.
When we first thought about making work for Open Plans as part of Asia Pacific Triennial, we were really interested in a few aspects of the site. One was the sheer vastness of the buildings, the new building at GOMA and the older one at QAG, and what that meant for a kind of single massive acoustic space. No matter which area you are in a gallery, you tend to hear sounds coming from further afield. We're also really interested in the way the space has a diversity of functions that go well beyond the display of art. We were wanting to find ways that we could really open out the experience one had of this acoustic and social ambience. So we did some research on site, tested out different sounds, explored the building in different ways. That then led to a series of creative works that we developed on site for the opening. One was this multi-channel video work, which is in fact a single multi-channel sound work that is presented through miniature video screens in 8 locations across the 2 buildings, which focused on the sight lines and sound lines in the space. We then used the bells in the videos to create a dispersed installation in the River Lounge, a beautiful space where you get a sense of your connection to outside as much as inside, and your sense of the building as a kind of meeting place of many people and sights and sounds. And then the other major component to our Open Plans work is performance installation on the opening weekend and closing weekend. The opening weekend that was the culmination of our creative development happened outside on the grassed area between QAGOMA and the State Library of Queensland. We brought together about 40, 50 local participants who sounded out the bells in quite a mesmerising and meditative sound field that the opening weekend crowds got to sit amongst.
Phase 2 effectively began on the opening day, the very first day of the exhibition, which was starting to work towards the final culminating weekend, which is a component of the work consisting of 2 large-scale performances of up to 200 participants with up to 200 bells, which is the full complement that we have on display. One day working throughout Queensland Art Gallery, the older building, and the other day focusing on GOMA, the newer complement to QAGOMA as a whole. And across the course of APT, undertaking regular periodic workshops, both very open to the public and also targeted to different groups like younger visitors, older visitors, those associated with the gallery and so forth. I think one of the aspects that was really important to us in creating this work is that with over 80 artists coming together and a vast diversity of practices that the APT represents, we wanted to counterpoint that somewhat with this dispersed homogeneity in a way, which somehow brings into focus all the bits that are between all the other artworks, this giant vastness of air, of egress that you can wander through, and to somehow form a counterpointing sonic glue that articulates the exhibition field in a different way.